And now, here are your hosts, the Schnitzel Boys.
Yeah, so that's NYCFC seems pumped. New York Red Bulls, who knows? Chicago Fire is good. All these new signings. I'm excited about them. Someone in the comments mentioned that we were being unfair to Charlotte FC, and they're not as much of a dumpster fire as we predict them to be.
I have heard that.
On average,
I have heard that
their
too.
age is younger than we were unfair to just point out the 235-year-olds. And I'm like, more power to you, man. I wish for you the best, but I do not predict good things for Charlotte FC.
No, I heard the same thing. And on Extra Time this week, Matt Doyle, the armchair analyst on MLSsoccer.com, he seemed to think that roster was better than meets the eye. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see.
David Beckham.
If we want to talk about NYCFC for a little bit, I am a little, I'm usually,
I know you want to talk about NYCFC.
Yeah, you don't want to.
Let's just touch on other things real quick, then we'll end with NYCFC.
Okay.
So Inter Miami released their new kit with David Beckham on a big
Inter Miami
with DeAndre Yedlin, who had to escape Turkey because he hated the food. He's in Miami, and then they have that new pink kit, so we'll see how they go. Like I said, Chicharito's been looking good in preseason form with LA Galaxy. LAFC beat the New York Red Bulls 6-1. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe they're in great shape. Very curious about LAFC. They're a huge question mark to me because of Steve Cherundolo's abilities and their roster. Seattle Sounders looking good on paper, but as we saw against Montagua, maybe they're definitely rusty. But they should always have a pretty good, solid season under Deutsche Amerikaner, Brian Schmetzer and his orchestra. And
Stray Cats, former Stray Cats member Brian Schmetzer.
Brian Schmetzer. What is it? Brian Stelzer. What's the real name of the orchestra?
Brian Stetzer, right?
Brian Stetzer or whatever. Well, I love that. I love it. But Brian Schmetzer's a different guy. He is a great German coach, a local Seattle legend.
German? Is he at all German in any meaningful way?
Yeah, very, very German. His parents, he was born in Germany, I think.
Oh, all right.
His parents are German. Can't you see his face? Like, he's got a German nose. Like, you look at that face.
He does.
That's a German face right there.
I try not to stereotype like that, but yeah, that's true.
I do, baby. Germans have noses, and Brian Schmetzer has a German nose, my friend.
Remember when there was this game in the internet, Lesbian or German Lady?
I do not remember, but that is
not
very true.
That is not
very, very hilarious.
It's not PC for me to bring that up. But that was
what I will say is that is very true. There was a game on Jimmy Kimmel Live where you had to guess if someone was from Europe or not, and they had to sit there quietly and if it was from Europe. And the minute a German dude came up, I'm like, that's a German dude right there. You can tell, A, because of his face, but B, he had a sweater that said USA on it, and he had
also
hat,
giveaway.
He was wearing flip-flops. I'm like, that's a German dude right there.
I was 12 for 12. I was 12 for 12 in Lesbian or German Lady. So,
so you can quote unquote not stereotype all you want, but there's also facts involved.
There are subtle differences.
So, I mean, that's very close to the game, like American man or German woman, like, like the German national team goalkeeper back in the 2003 World Cup looked just like Oliver Kahn. It's just like, dang, you're good. You're very talented. But anyway, that's either here. I'm being cruel.
This is terrible.
Anyway, but Brian Schmetzer's parents moved from Germany to Seattle to open a sporting goods store. So he was raised, Seattle's had two German coaches, Sigi Schmidt and Brian Schmetzer.
I had no idea. I did not know, but I guess it makes sense.
Yeah, so Seattle's in our German little hearts right here. Anyway, so I mean, I haven't really know the MLS things to say. Toronto's looking exciting with their
Chicago has a lot. You said that, right? Chicago has gotten a bunch of.
So that's my general MLS out of my butt preview. Now I know you want it, Mr. NYCFC. Give us some NYCFC. What do you got for us?
Well, I mean, I'm finding myself in sort of a weird position because I'm usually very optimistic. Last year, I felt very good about the season. I'm generally pro. I think the organization generally does well. I think I've usually liked the coaches. Last year, people were very down on Ronnie. I was not. I thought he was a good choice and he did well. By the way, Ronnie had a great. If for people who have any interest in NYCFC, but even just coaching in general. It was a great podcast. Glenn Crooks, who does the radio commentary for NYCFC games, he sort of does a pre-game interview with Ronnie every week. So they have sort of a rapport, and he got to do like a 45-minute post-season kind of wrap-up interview. And it's really worth listening to because Ronnie's very open, and he kind of talks about how he goes about building culture. And he also kind of talks about the ups and downs of the season and where he kind of maybe fell short at times it's really just a great talk. And it's,
I listened to it. What's it called?
I think On Frame. I think Glenn Crooks On Frame is the name of the where you can find it in podcasts, in Apple Podcasts. And
maybe I'll link it in the description.
Yeah, that was really, and it just kind of endeared Ronnie even more to me. Like he's just been sort of very open and emotional about the whole winning the cup and the journey of the season, and it's just been really nice to see. And I'm just happy for him because he took a lot of shit. You know, I was looking last season previews, the pundits on MLSsoccer.com. There's always like 7 or 8 people making their predictions, and no one had us higher than 6 in the East. Right. And people were like, it's just not going to be that good. And
as much as we love MLS, I mean, MLS is just a big old crap shit.
It's very, fair enough.
The whole league, every year it's a crap. You can't predict anything, you know.
Well, that's that's exactly it. And that's why I'm finding myself in this unfamiliar position of being a little concerned. Because today I'm looking at the pundits again, predicting our fate. And we have first in the East, third in the East, second in the East, first in the East, third in the East, first in the East, third in the East, first in the East. So everybody thinks we're going to be amazing. And I hope they're right, of course. But I think there's maybe also a little cause for concern because we lost a bunch of people and we haven't really replaced them. And
that's so funny. I'm coming from the opposite place.
Okay.
Like, there's nothing to talk about for us at all. But because MLS is such a crapshoot, I'm like, we could very well win this year.
Right.
What's saying we're not going to win this year? We can win this year. So, like, I'm positive for the same reasons you're negative because you just had a good year and we had a decent year. You know, right? There's just not a lot to be excited about on paper as to what we do. But that's not what the league's about, man. The league isn't about paper. The league's about 90 minutes. The league is about the second half of the season. The league is about how well do you manage playoffs. That's what the league's about, you know. And Lorenzo Insigne, maybe he's not a playoff player.
And weird shit happens every year. Toronto had like the best season in MLS history, and then they missed the playoffs the next year. You just don't know. People don't repeat. And so if everybody's unanimously saying how we're gonna cream everybody, I'm like, oh boy.
You're right.
Oh boy.
I mean, you've kept Tati Castellanos. You kept probably the most important player.
We have.
Who'd you lose? You lose James Sands?
Well, we lost 3 starters. We lost 3 starters from the MLS Cup final, plus Izzy Tajuri-Shradi, who scored 7 goals. Jesus Medina, he cooled off towards the end of the season, but he scored 9 goals last. He played a lot of minutes.
Where did he go? Like
he went to Moscow. Yeah,
Moscow.
How did you pronounce that name?
Siska.
Siska Moscow.
Siska Moscow.
And I mean, he was a DP who never quite lived up to that tag, and he was a little, he was always a little inconsistent and disappointing on the ball, but he did a lot of work off the ball and covered more ground than almost anyone in MLS over the season. There were always these stats of, and so he's an important guy, and
Haber's
back, but he's had a pretty terrible knee injury. He's now on the other side of 30. Listen, there's a lot of talent on this team. If everybody hits, it's all about the kids, really. It's Thales Magno, Santiago Rodriguez, Thiago Andrade. If they take the next step and live up to their billing, this could be a scary team. It could be. The ceiling is.
Thiago Andrade sounds Brazilian.
They're Brazilian. He's Brazilian. Thales is Brazilian. Can I give you a little
Portuguese lesson?
Please.
Andrade is Andrade.
Andrade. Thiago Andrade.
Thiago Andrade.
Andrade.
Yeah.
Thiago.
Chiago
Thiago
Andrade.
Andrade.
Yeah, there you go.
Thiago Andrade.
Oi, Thiago, como vai? Thiago Andrade, gol!
Thiago
Gol de
Andrade.
Thiago Andrade. Sorry, that's my
Yeah.
Brazilian guy.
Anyway, if those three take the next step, then this could be a scary team. But if they don't, then the offense could be Tati and Maxi, and Maxi's 35, and Tati's got one foot out the door. He's probably going to leave this summer, if not sooner. And so that's really how this could all go wrong. If
It was also a lucky season. It's not like they were talented and won last year. It was a total crapshoot, and they won. Just
whoa, what?
Well, I mean, so it's the same team that no one cared about, but a year old.
Come again?
So yeah, you're right to think they're not going to do well. So
Come again? There.
I'm agreeing with you.
Schnitzel.
I'm agreeing with you. Is what I'm saying. I'm saying you have the right to think they're gonna have a crappy season.
I'm not. I do not
think have a great season last year. It was just like a total luck.
I don't think
the
they're
New
going to have a
Evolution
crappy.
were a top class team, not NYCFC, but NYCFC won the league or the cup. Now I'm just playing with you. NYCFC and LA Galaxy will be a really fun game because Chicharito is on fire. The Galaxy definitely are come back with a little bit of a vengeance. And NYCFC, despite your trepidations, are pretty. I think they've got a really healthy locker room. They are a deep team.
Oh, for sure. No, they definitely they have a lot of talent. I think we need a couple more reinforcements at left back. We have Gudi Torarnson leave, and Malde Amundsen's been a bit up and down, and he's now, I guess, the only starter. Tinnerholm stayed. He had an Achilles tear, and it's gonna be a few months until he comes back. But Tavon Gray filled in.
Player.
Well, I mean, that's the irony. We won MLS Cup without Keaton Parks, without Tinnerholm, which are two of the at least 5 best players on the team for sure. Keaton Parks is back. Tinnerholm
Alfredo Morales, the German superstar.
He came. He has COVID now, so he has a little bit of a.
I'll get rid of that soon.
But that shouldn't set him back too far. But we've got this new center back, Thiago Martins.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Also Brazilian.
Thiago Martins.
Thiago Martins.
Yeah, hey, buy Brazilian, man. Buy Brazilian. 2 Thiagos. Thiago, very common Brazilian name.
Everybody's
Thiago in Brazil is like Stefan in Germany.
Yeah, everybody's called Thiago. But I mean, that he was a good acquisition. I think getting a substitute for Chanot before he even really needs it. That's great. And but yeah, we're a little bit thinner at some positions. Both of the right wingers haven't really been replaced. So I think there is, but the team has proven in the past that they're not going to make any quick signings. They take their time, and so hopefully we'll be all right.
The summer window is probably a more fruitful window.
Yeah, for sure.
MLS is a weird league. Like Bruce Arena says, the second half of the season is the season. And he's just so right, because the second half of the season is what matters. So, like if you sign the right players over the summertime and you get going around that time, that's when you need to get going. Like a team that does really well from now through midseason and then drops off the second half of the season is useless. You can't do anything with a team like that. Like, what do they win? They win nothing. A team that gets going from the summertime through the end of the season, that's what you want.
Yeah, we'll see.
So if you need to get rid of an old player over the summer, do it. If you need to get
we might have to. We may have to replace Tati this summer. We'll see. No, I think there is a lot. Yeah. There's lots of reason for optimism. Last year around this time, we were really thin. Like there were a lot of reinforcements missing, and people were like, "When are we signing anybody?" And it really took a while for these kids to arrive. Yeah. And we're in a much better spot now for sure. But this kind of
leaves. Can I offer you a Tom Barlow, perhaps?
I heard he scored in preseason.
Scored a preseason goal,
and that is scientifically proven to mean he gets at least 20 this year, right?
At least 20. At least.
All right.
So like we'll take for free. We'll pay you to have him. Honestly, we'll pay you to have him. So all I can do is offer you a Tom.
We don't want him. The other thing that I'm excited about, just briefly, is that there's NYCFC 2. There's this whole sort of new channel for the kids to play. I will see. We'll have MLS Next Pro, I guess is the official name. They're going to start in March.
We've had that for a few seasons now, so I mean that's old hat to
the
me,
Red Bulls have. Yeah.
Red Bulls.
No,
too.
for us it's
featuring
new.
the Allen brothers. Remember the Allen brothers? RJ Allen and Brendan Allen.
Oh, RJ came from Red Bulls too?
There were two Allen brothers. One played for us, one played for you.
Oh, yeah, RJ.
And specifically, I went to a Red Bull Stadium event thing where it was like a preseason and walk around the stadium, buy tickets. And there was a dude in a kiosk for Red Bulls 2. They're like, hey, man, come to Red Bulls 2 games or whatever. And I was like, oh, yeah, you have Brendan Allen. I mix up the Allens. I said the NYCFC Allen. It's like, yeah, and him too. And he'd be like, no. He's the type of player that we would never have a guy like him. He was very adamant that we would never have a guy. Who's the guy from NYCFC? Was it Brendan Allen or RJ Allen?
RJ Allen.
They're like, we would never have a bruiser like RJ Allen play here or whatever. And I was like,
bruiser?
Okay,
so I wish
Allen.
he was a bruiser.
Yeah, Brendan Allen. So I just appreciate the heart of
the parochial.
Well, it's cool that you guys are getting along and slowly catching up with us. It's a near Red Bulls fan. It's cool to see that. You guys playing catch up. And, maybe you'll get a nice stadium at some point. We'll see.
That was just the Schnitzel Boys video on YouTube. Thanks for joining us. If you like that one, we've got a couple other ones right over here. And if you like that one, don't be afraid to subscribe, like, and ring that bell.
It's the Schnitzel boys, it's the Schnitzel boys, it's the Schnitzel